Hypnosis works, transforming the mind.
Hi there, I'm Hendrik Baird, a practicing non-medical hypnotherapist currently based in Pretoria, South Africa. I'm always curious to learn more about hypnosis, and so I thought, what better way to learn than to chat with other hypnotherapists to gain some insights into what they do and how they work. So join me as we explore the fascinating world of the mind and of hypnosis. My guest today is hypnotherapist Sharon Dill. And today I have Sharon Dill with me. Sharon, welcome here to Soul Oasis, to my new practice. It's a little bit rough here, but things are moving on. Welcome to this podcast.
Yeah, it's lovely to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Where are you based now at the moment?
I'm actually based in Johannesburg. My practice is called Johannesburg Hypnosis, so yes, I'm based in Johannesburg and I see clients in Johannesburg.
Which suburb are you in?
I'm actually in 3 suburbs. I've got 3 branches.
Oh, wow, you're franchising.
Well, I guess you could say that. Yeah, I see people in Bedford View and I see people in Rosebank and I see people in Bryanston.
And busy? How's business?
You know, business is a little bit quiet in January, but that's normal in January because I think people have just been away, they've got bills to pay, they've spent a lot over Christmas. It's normally a little bit quiet in January, but I would say normal for a January. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And COVID had any influence on you in the past year or so?
In the beginning, when we were all on strict lockdown, it was quite difficult because the only things I could do the only sessions I could do were the online sessions. And but we all learned how to do that because, so it was a learning curve, get very good results. I've had, it actually was a huge benefit because I suddenly started getting clients from like Natal and all sorts of places that normally I wouldn't have gotten clients from.
But isn't that interesting how COVID has changed the way that we can deliver ourselves to a client? I mean, in the past it was always, you've got to come in, you've got to sit. We never did, if anything, we used to do a recording perhaps.
Yes.
But it's certainly changed, and as you say, people are saying they're getting really good results.
Yeah. And I think it's also opened it up for us to be able to serve a wider audience because we've learned these skills of doing online hypnosis and we can actually reassure people that it's absolutely safe to do an online session.
So take me a little bit back in time from how did you get interested in hypnosis and what's your background?
My background is in accounting, but I'd gotten to, I'd sort of like climbed the ladder and gotten to as far as I wanted to go, and I was just like, this is not where I'm supposed to be, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. And just like I didn't know where I was supposed to go. So I've got this very inquiring mind that really craves information and food, like mental food, but really I crave new information, and it's like an ongoing thing. So I was going to the library and I was picking up every book that I could find, did a couple of courses, did a course on energy healing. I did resonate with that and I got good results. But I found that the results that I was getting with the energy healing, chakra balancing, aura cleansing were not lasting results. It would be great to balance someone's chakras and do the aura cleansing, and they'd feel wonderful and so peaceful afterwards, and it would last maybe 3 days, and then they would revert, the chakras would revert. So in any case, I started to really look at all sorts of things and all sorts of books. It really started one day when I was in the library, picked up a book on hypnosis. And I was like, well, this is interesting. I wonder this sounds, weird stuff. Let's face it, this is weird stuff. Holy crap. Am I really reading this stuff? And like, who would think about hypnosis? This is scary stuff. But I took the book home, very interested. Flew through that book, loved it, got to the end and they were like, record your voice and see, and I recorded my voice and I was like, actually, I've got a pretty good voice. And I was really surprised about that. And it just felt right. It clicked. And interestingly enough, I was living in Cape Town at the time. And there was a spiritual center in Sea Point where they used to give talks. And Claudia was scheduled to give a talk on hypnosis. Claudia from the South African Institute of Hypnotism. And I went to the talk, was absolutely fascinated. And at the end of the evening, they gave away a couple of vouchers for people, 10% discount on the first module. And I grabbed one of those. I got one of those. And I just, I was sitting there and I was thinking to myself, if I get a voucher, it's meant to be. And I did. So did my courses and everything. I took probably the longest that any student has taken, 3 years to complete the courses, partially because of finances, because I was also putting my daughter through varsity at the time. But I'm actually really glad that I took so long because it gave me a chance to fully integrate the information so that by the time I came to qualifying, I think I started seeing clients literally after the first module. I was just like, jump right in there, do this stuff, don't ask for permission to start seeing clients, just do it. So I learned by the time I qualified, I actually seen quite a few clients. And the journey from when I qualified is really a beautiful journey because it was the most amazing thing. Because, everybody, when you're studying, they all say, don't give up your day job. You'll never make enough money from hypnosis. You'll never be able to have a full-time practice. You won't make enough money. And I was really quite depressed when I finished the course. And I was qualified, but I still had a day job, and I didn't have any clients. I started to imagine that it was happening for me, that I was actually attracting clients. And this is where I started to experience the law of attraction so profoundly. Because I went outside one evening and I threw my arms open to the universe and I said, if I'm meant to do this, please make it happen. I don't even know how. It doesn't matter how. And it's just if this is meant to be, let it be. If I can help people, if I'm good enough to actually do this job, because I don't know, I'm still green behind the ears. What do I know? Gee whiz, just qualified, really. And wow. Within literally a couple of weeks, I met Leo Gopal. Mm-hmm. And he is a whiz on media and on how to put up a website, how to get to the top of Google. He ran a little weekend course. I took his course. I went home, put up my website, got to the top of Google, where apparently I've been ever since. Not sure now, but because Google AdWords is really messing with us, I'm afraid. They are really closing down the hypnotists, which is a great pity. All of my ads are being shut down one by one.
Why?
They say it falls under addiction services, and I messaged them and I said, I don't deal with addictions because I don't. It's too close to home. I can't. I get really angry. So I send all of those off to Tom and to Yvonne because they do the addiction stuff. So I messaged them and I was like, but I don't do any addiction services. And they were like, I'm very sorry, but hypnotherapy falls under addiction services. What the heck? I'm part of a Facebook group of wonderful hypnosis women from around the world. And I posted my problem on there and they were said, welcome to the party. This is what's happening. Google is shutting us down worldwide. I don't even know why. I don't know why. So at first I was completely freaked out because I was like, well, what the heck am I going to do? If Google goes, this is where all my clientele come from, is Google. And I was just like, well, what am I going to do? I was like, Sharon, just calm down and just give this time to settle. Just think straight. And I actually went and Googled. If you go and Google Hypnosis Johannesburg now, you will see maybe one or two people of the two company or people who are offering hypnosis that are actually running ads. The rest are not. So all of the people that are not running ads have been already shut down by Google. I'm still one of the lucky ones. I have about 6 or 7 ads still running, but I got another notice just yesterday. Your ad has been disapproved, which is a very sad thing because what the heck?
So how do you advertise now? What are your channels and how do you?
You know what? I think the answer is to really pump up your site to make your site SEO powerful. That is the only thing. Put lots of content. Make sure that you are keeping your site up to date. It's the only thing that you can do is to do, I think they call it organic SEO or whatever. Yeah, is to do it that way. Because, you know, it's not that bad. Because, look, all of the other hypnotists in Joburg and South Africa are going to be experiencing exactly the same issues. And so none of us are going to have Google AdWords. And so it's really going to be who's got the most powerful site, who's got, you know, who's optimized the SEO.
I used to run Google ads, and if for some reason I didn't run the ad for the month, my clients would drop. It's very visible.
Yeah.
Very real effect on it.
So it's a very different world now. I've even tried advertising on Facebook. Facebook will not even run an ad for weight loss. Will not. I just want to talk a little bit more about that journey. I met Leo Gopal, and then I did his course, put up my website, did the Google AdWords, and shot up to the top and started booking clients. But I was still working. But the funny thing is that by about December, which was about 2 months later, I was fully booked in December. I went into that office every day. I would throw open the curtains, and when I would go like, I'm going to pretend that I'm in practice. I'm going to pretend every day, and I'm going to tell myself I've got 6 clients booked today, every day. And I did that for the whole of December. In January, when I went back, I was working 2 jobs. I quit my job at the end of January. End of February, that was when I had to give a month's notice. And I was already like quite high up. I mean, I was an accountant. I was at accountant level. I was earning a damn good salary. And when I quit my job, and I was like, here goes, leap of faith. And in March, when I started practice, the clients just flowed to me. End of March, I made my budget, made my salary. That corporate salary made it. Within 5 months, I doubled my salary. In that very first month, in March, when I went into practice, You Magazine contacted me, so I was featured in You Magazine with my weight loss. Then I think it was Nikki Sabatini from Radio Today, I think it is, contact me. So I was on radio. In that first year, I was in magazines, radio, and TV. And I'm just like, I didn't even do any of that. I don't know. And I'm beginning to call myself the media baby. And like I've recently been featured on Tyrone Nell has a podcast on Thursday nights on Uncut Media. He talks about spiritual things and about all sorts of things. He's talking about manifesting at the moment. And he asked me if I could talk a little bit about past life regression. So I've been featured on there for past life regression. I've recently been interviewed by the Sowetan about manifesting abundance. And I've spoken about that. So yeah, so I'm very excited about the future. I'm really excited about the future.
So what I'm hearing is, if we can't do Google AdWords, then you find another way to be more visible using media outlets.
But the funny thing is that I never approach anybody for the media. They somehow find me. I don't even know how that works. But I think it's the law of attraction. I do. You've got to believe that you can make, you've got to believe and believe it so strongly that you can have a successful practice. You can have lots of clients. You can book lots of people. Sometimes when I'm working with the law of attraction, which I do a lot, then I'll send out a beautiful vibe like, come to mama. Come to me. I can help you. I know that you need help. Come to me because I can help you. And that also, it brings clients. It's amazing when you send out that energy of like, I can help. Come and see me. And magically the people find you.
What sort of people find you?
I deal a lot with childhood issues. It is my favorite. I love working with trauma. I absolutely adore working with trauma. It is my thing, and I don't even do the regression so much. I don't do what I'm told. I don't do what Claudia told us to do. Sorry, Claudia. I found some marvelous, beautiful, powerful ways of helping people to overcome trauma without doing the regression. Look, I must be honest, the regression has its place. I did a very powerful session this morning with a client, and really a beautiful process and beautiful results. So it has its place. But for the most part, I really do use other techniques, mainly living in the moment, sort of like, I would say, more, I don't want to label it, but more of like letting go of the past and just move on. Stop holding on to the anger. Stop holding on to, I need closure. There's no such thing as closure. Welcome to the real world. Let it go. I teach people to let go. That is my process. And it's beautiful and it's profound and it's amazing. I also work a lot with anxiety, I've got very good results with that as well. I think I just teach people to feel safe in the world, to feel comfortable, and to feel that it's going to be okay. So I'm very good at those two things, I would say, are the main thing. I do a lot of work with past life regression as well, which is quite an interesting. I had the most amazing person the other week, and I don't know how much spiritual stuff one can actually share on here, but so interesting, so I might as well. Oh my word, she went back to being an American young boy, and she spoke with an American accent, and the things that she said literally cracked me up. You know, one of the things was she had this kind of like interest in another girl, because she was a boy in that life. But there was another girl in the village that was bringing her food, and she knew that this girl was interested in her, but she wasn't really interested in that girl. But like, she was kind of like warming up to this girl with all this lovely food that she was getting. And so I said to her, yes, I think a way to a man's heart is through his stomach. She says, yes, Mama says. A way to a man's heart is through his stomach. And I laughed so much. Oh my word, I just laughed. But what was even more interesting about that particular session is that she went to the spirit world. And she was, it was actually
Are you meaning between lives?
Yes, between lives.
Yeah.
And she said, in this particular life, they eventually got, there was some sort of a, I don't know whether it was a skirmish or a war or whatever, but their village was attacked, and she was killed in her hut together with her family. And she says, and I get to the spirit world, and my spirit guide is standing there and smiling, and she says to him, and the first thing I said to him is, you said it wasn't going to be traumatic, and it was. And he says, well, off to the cleansing chambers for you. Actually went on to tell me about the different levels that you progress through, and how each of these levels has a color. And it was just so interesting, it was really, really interesting.
Why do people come for past life regressions? They just to experience it, or is there a specific reason?
A lot of time it's to find their life path, to find direction. Sometimes it's curiosity. A lot of times I just get one sentence, who was I in the past life? It's like, well, come see me, we'll find out.
How do we explain that? I mean, is it real? Is it imagination? Is it tapping into our forefathers?
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah, I can only speak from my own experience, and I can share with you in that when I was a child, I used to dream about a place. And that place was not in South Africa. It was not in South Africa. I had never been abroad. I did not know. But I knew instinctively, I know this place was in England, and I dreamed about that place a lot. And I also had an intense fear of knives, for no reason whatsoever, none. Nobody had ever threatened me with a knife. Nobody had ever cut or nothing. Zero trauma connected to knives, and but flipping terror of like the edge of a knife, the sharpness of a knife. And also it was an interesting thing because I'd always had like a kind of a pain in my chest that I couldn't really explain. It wasn't a hard thing, it wasn't anything. It was just a pain. And I eventually unraveled what had happened in that life. I had been stabbed on the beach. My mom had been stabbed. She was my sister in that life. We'd both been stabbed by the same person. I recognized the energy of my mom. She was my twin sister in that life. We're still very, very close. And I recognized the person that stabbed us both, and I was able to forgive. Forgive myself for being foolish, because I brought the whole thing about with jealousy, because she was with a boyfriend, and I wanted my twin sister back. And so, but there was a lot more to it than that. Yeah. And so we were both stabbed with this knife. But the moment, it was almost like the moment I remembered what had happened, that pain disappeared. Pain in my chest, gone.
Wow.
Never returned. Never returned.
Do you find clients sometimes spontaneously regress to a past life, or do you have to take them there?
Very seldom. They won't just go there, unless they've really come for a past life regression. I think one client went there. It's fine. You just deal with it. For my part, I don't really care whether it's a metaphor for a problem that you have or whether it's real. It doesn't make any difference. What makes the difference is like the result. I want the result. I want that client to feel better. I want them to heal from their trauma. I don't want them to hang on to stuff, whether it's from this life or a past life, or whether the past life is just a metaphor for whatever they find wrong, or whatever they're going through. It doesn't matter. What does it matter? It doesn't matter. However, there's something that I'm really, really interested in that I'd like to talk about, because one of the things that I've become very passionate about is ancestral clearing, releasing the trauma that has been carried down from generation to generation to generation. And when we look at what our parents did to us, you can see it as clear as daylight that they were just doing what was done to them, and their parents were doing what was done to them, and so it's come down the generations. And I've just become aware, through working with clients, that we need to clear this ancestral trauma, because you can't keep carrying all this heavy stuff down through generations. It's time to put it down. It's time to do things a different way. I mean, we've done things that way, and look at the world. Look at the world. It's like, hello, we need to catch a wake-up call. When I look at the way that mothers talk to their children these days, and even the schools are more about uplifting the children and nurturing the children. And if there's a problem, they contact the parents, and then they do extra classes, or they do, the therapy that's necessary. And don't you think that's a wonderful change? Don't you think that's going to bring up a generation of children who believe in themselves, who are positive and powerful and confident and happy and joyful? And can you imagine the world in 20 years' time, when all those children grow up?
Well, can I just say, with our current education system, it's kind of shambles. I'm not sure it's working enough.
Well, then I think it's maybe up to the parents to really, nurture the children, and let's change the world from the roots up,
So, but sorry, if you're saying about generational things, so like poverty could be a generational thing.
Absolutely, yes.
Heart disease, obviously, congenital heart disease, you could stop that from recurring again by doing the kind of work that you do.
Yes. Look, I've just started touching on it. I incorporate one of the processes that we taught in the South African Institute of Hypnotism, in that I teach people to give their stuff back, give back the stuff to the perpetrator. It's not your stuff. It was never your stuff. Put it in a little packet, you put it in a suitcase, put it in a whatever, dookie, give it back to that person. It's not your stuff. And then what I say is, and that person can pass it on back to the person that they got it from, and then that person can pass it back, and each person through the generations can get healed. Even though they've passed on, the energy is still the energy. It's still healing energy going back through the generations. So I've just started working with that, and there is a course that I'm going to be doing this year, which is all about releasing ancestral stuff, because I do believe that it's time for the world to change. It really is.
Where does one get to the information of these sort of courses? How do you find that sort of stuff?
Oh, I would have to look it up and let you know. So maybe I can do that, and you can just add it into.
We'll add it into the description of this podcast.
Yeah. I'll let you know about that course, yeah, because I think this is important work that hypnotists definitely can do, and I think that people are eager and keen to let go of that ancestral stuff. It's time, you know.
Talk to me about COVID-19, because this seems to be a huge change in the world as well. I mean, there's this pandemic going around.
Do you want me to talk to you about COVID-19? What I'm finding with COVID is that there are a lot of people who are interested in the spiritual stuff suddenly, because it is waking people up. I think that's a good thing. I think it's a good thing for people to do the soul searching and to go like, hold on, I need to take a look at my life. Am I being a good person, or do I need to do more? Is there more after death? Do we live after death? And I have to just add in one thing, that it's an unassailable fact. It's a proven fact that energy cannot be extinguished. It is a scientific fact that energy transforms. It cannot be extinguished. So in whatever form we go on after we pass away, we definitely do go on. So
are we passing away, or are we passing through?
Passing through. Personally, yes. Personally, I'm so curious about getting there. I'm really looking forward. Although I've still got too much work to do here. Much too much work to go soon. But yeah, I have no fear whatsoever of passing over. In fact, I'm quite looking forward to the next view. Going to the light. Oh, look at the pretty colours.
Let's talk a bit practically about how it works when people come to see you.
Okay, so basically my protocol for seeing clients is I tell them up front, I tell them it's going to be 6 sessions. I can do all the work that I need to do in 6 sessions. Occasionally, if I see a client, or if I get a client who is severely traumatized, it could take more sessions. 8 maybe, but pretty much most people I can sort things out in 6 sessions. I actually had a girl bounce into my office on her 6th session, and she literally bounced in. She says, Sharon, you won't believe it, this thing that I used to have a problem with, you know, that same thing happened, and I handled it in a completely different way. And she says, I don't know who this girl is, but I love her. I love her. And I think what we're doing is we're connecting people to the real you. That lovely real you is seeing yourself as you want to be. Imagine seeing yourself looking amazing. You've lost the weight. You look gorgeous. You feel amazing. You're achieving, and you're excited about life. So I think that's a very powerful thing, and it literally does transform them into those people. And because of that, I get a lot of referrals. I get a lot of referrals from people who go, I'm not the same person I was. But I think that's the real you, you know. You want to be the real you, you know.
Do you get people who come to you say, look, I used to be this great person, and then something happens. I want to go back to that person that I was.
I love working with those, because then you can say, you've already been that person. You know how to be that person. This is just a matter. This is just a hiccup. This is just a bump. You'll get back there, and I'm going to make this happen. We can make this happen. We're going to do this.
Is there a specific way that those sessions are structured, and the process is through this?
You know, I think I've been very fortunate to find, I just think I've been very, very blessed to find the right tools. I do a lot of storytelling. I love storytelling. I love storytelling because it's a gentle, non-invasive way of bringing about
metaphor.
Yes, metaphor and stories, yes. So I just tell some stories. I just tell some stories. And the stories all have very deeper meanings, a lot of deeper meanings. There's this one particular piece which I love to bits. I mean, I've been in practice since 2012, I think. So, I mean, that's like a number, what's that? Like 9 years. And I must have read that story 1,000 times, at least. Every now and again, I still find a deeper meaning. That's the kind of story you want to use. That's the kind of story you want to use. And it's a simple story. It's a really simple story. But it has so many deeper meanings. And I just find that it's almost predictable. By the 3rd session, they will walk in and I'll say, how was your week? Fantastic, great. And how was that problem that you came to see? How's that going? Oh, no, there wasn't much of a problem. And I love that because it shows how natural and how organic the process is in hypnosis, and how I said natural, because it feels so normal to actually start moving towards feeling better. And that's the beauty of hypnosis. It really is. It's so natural that it feels normal.
But I mean, it is probably one of the most natural things that we do naturally anyway. I mean,
Exactly.
a child is probably in hypnosis most of its young life.
Yeah.
But we unlearn that as we grow
Yes.
older. And
Not
we never get taught the
necessarily.
skills.
Not necessarily. I always tell people that because I get this question, can I be put into hypnosis? Can everybody, will you be able to hypnotize me? Yes, absolutely. Because guess what? You go into hypnosis every single day in your life. Every time you lose track of time, you connect to the subconscious mind. Every time you connect to the subconscious mind, you're in a state of hypnosis. Every time you read a book, every time you watch a movie, every time you sit at the beach daydreaming, every time you stare into a crackling fire, go into that quiet zone, every time you are being creative. Creative people live in hypnosis. And I love to tell the story because it's a powerful story and it demonstrates exactly what hypnosis is and isn't. And I say, imagine going into a movie house and you sit down and you're watching the movie and you like get wrapped up in the movie, and this is like an amazing movie, and you forget about the world outside because you're living this movie. And like the movie finishes and then it's like, oh, that was 2 hours. It felt like 20 minutes. And then you start heading towards the exit, and the minute those doors open and that light hits your face, boom, you're out of hypnosis. So that is the difference between being in hypnosis and out of hypnosis. And I further tell people, and while you were in that movie house, you could move around, you could talk to the person next to you. So of course you can talk in hypnosis. Of course you can make yourself more comfortable. It is not an unconscious state. They've actually, this is something you might not know. Do you know that they've measured the brain wavelengths of hypnosis between hypnosis, meditation, and prayer? Identical. It's a meditative state. It's not an unconscious state. And we all go into those meditative states every single day.
Do you sometimes have a client that you end a session, especially the first one, go, I don't think I was hypnotized?
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, I don't have a one-size-fits-all, especially in the first session for my clients. If somebody comes to me for anxiety, there is no way on this earth I am going to stick their hands to the chair. No way. Because it'll freak them out, and if they'll come out of that session, they'll run. You know, you don't do that to someone who's already suffering from anxiety. You don't take away their power. However, like with a lot of other people, I will do a convincer, and I do love the one of like, your hands are so heavy that it's just like so heavy, and it's like, oh, so lazy, too much effort, can't even move those hands. I love it much more than the eyes shut one, because I've had a failure with the eyes shut, but I've never had a failure with the hands heavy. Because, you know, people relate to, I think they can relate to that. It's just like, oh, these hands are so heavy. Feeling your hands are warm and heavy and loose and relaxed, and it's like so much effort to even lift them, and they just lie there. You can try if you want to.
So let's talk a little bit about it, because I'm hearing the kind of language you use when you're talking about the convincer now. Language obviously is very important
It
in the
is.
hypnotic process.
Yes, it is. I love language. I've always loved language, and I think that I really found my niche when I actually stepped into this arena, because I love playing with words. I love playing with direct suggestion. It's so easy to actually incorporate direct suggestion into and add it into whatever you're working with, you know. So I do that a lot. You know, I love the thing of like, and either today or tomorrow you might start to get really excited about the changes that you know are happening inside of you, and how awesome it is. Can you imagine seeing yourself looking the way you want to look, feeling the way you want to feel? Wow, that's quite something.
Contact details, how do people get hold of you?
So I'm Johannesburg Hypnosis, which is quite easy to remember and to Google. johannesburghypnosis.co.za. My telephone number is 079-099-3252. Get hold of me on the phone. If the phone just rings, please leave a message, because I'm in a session a lot.
And then last thing, motivation for somebody who's considering doing hypnosis but a little bit scared.
Hypnosis is the most relaxing, wonderful experience you can imagine. It is not scary. It is not against any religion. Nobody controls anybody else's mind. It is not a way to force someone to do something. Quite often I get emails from parents, can you make my son, my 14-year-old, stop lying? No, I cannot. I won't lie to people. I've got too much integrity, and I'm definitely not going to make false promises. And I tell them straight, unless your son wants to stop lying. I can help him if he wants to stop lying, but I cannot force him, and I won't, because it's against our what do you call it? Our ethics. Yes, our ethics. It's against our ethics. We do not force people to do things, and you can't anyway. Good luck with that. And people really love hypnosis. Once you've had a hypnosis session, you'll see the deep relaxation you get from it. The absolute escape from just the pressures of the world is so amazing that really the conscious mind and the subconscious mind just latch onto it and go like, oh my goodness, thank goodness, a little bit of me time. And that's what my clients call it, me time. And I would really encourage people to put aside the fear and put aside all the, the negativity that media has kind of like hyped it up and, pushed it out of proportion and made us think that you can be hypnotized to kill the president or to commit a crime. You cannot be hypnotized to do anything against your core values and your beliefs. And for that reason, it's absolutely safe, Why not? Why not connect to your subconscious mind? Why not live your potential? Why not see how far you can go, how much you can become, and how much fun you can have doing it? That's what I love about it.
Well, I found chatting to my hypnosis colleague very interesting and insightful, and I trust that you did too. Their contact details are in the podcast description, or you can get in touch with them through findahypnotist.co.za. If you want to find out more about me and what I do, please visit my website, hendrikbaird.com. Remember, I release new episodes every Thursday, so be sure to subscribe to my channel. Until we speak again, have a hypnotic day.
Hypnosis works, transforming the mind.